Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Yes, people, what's happening? We're back, 12 man's back. That means that we're going to talk Arsenal today because last night, well, we ended up losing again to Liverpool in our last preseason over in America. We've got a win, lose and draw now. So we're going to talk about preseason. We're going to talk about the transfer window. We're going to talk about what we might need. And we're going to talk about how set we look for what's going to be a very, very interesting season and one that's approaching us very, very quickly. To do that with, I've got a Guna to Guna show, and it's my good friend, Deluded Guna. DG, how are you, my bro?
I'm good, man. Love for the introduction, man. It's always a pleasure to be here, man. So, yeah, one love for having me, man. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. He's telling me, my guy.
Always good, man. Always good chatting to you. And I see you on the watch along and working, mate. And I'm a bit tired, man. I don't know about you. It's been like I'm glad there's no more USA games. You have to get up silly o'clock. And mad respect for those that do it, man. I must say, around the world, innit?
Facts, like you said, man, you have to respect those that do it on a regular basis for Arsenal Football Club. Like, we're crying about doing it for a couple of games. So, yeah, big respect. But as you said, I'm happy that we're over that sort of leg, man. And I'm sure we'll get into it. But there's a lot to say about preseason if we can draw a conclusion on such.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're going to get to. Make sure you do me a favor, people. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you head over to Deluded Guna and do exactly the same thing, man. Links in the description. Link will be in the title. So just make sure that you go over there and show him some love. Make sure you show Manscaped some love as well. Make sure you hit the link in the description and the link in the pinned comment. It will take you straight to their website. You can get the Beard Hedger for 20% off. So please make sure that you do that and support the sponsors, people. Deluded, let me just ask you from the off, man. You watched it last night. I watched it last night. Did we learn much, or was it just a little bit same old from last night? What's your thoughts on the game, bro?
I think you said it there. I don't think we learned anything isolated to the game. You know, you can't draw too many conclusions on preseason, but I think me and you are both strong on the case of bringing in a number 9, someone that's got that proven pedigree. I don't think Kai Havertz was terrible, but I don't think he was as amazing, and I think it's quite mixed in terms of Kai Havertz's reviews. We know he's probably not a central midfielder. Of course, he had to play there in midfield. I don't think Zinchenko was alone to blame, you know, because the takeaway Zinchenko's performance, we didn't do enough to win the game on the night, but evidently Zinchenko defensively is a liability. I feel the only thing we did well is score. I think the second half was a lot better. We had them pinned in their own half, but we didn't really create anything. First half, the damage was done, essentially. I think Odegaard had a great game in terms of creativity, but it's sad to end the preseason tour in America on an L, man, if I'm honest with you. I was shocked that there was no penalties. I don't know why that's the case, but yeah, we lost, bro.
Yeah, I was kind of the same as you. I didn't know if there was going to be penalty shootout that was going to kind of be decided. We've seen it in the last couple of games. I wasn't massively disappointed. I wasn't massively impressed. I think with the team that we've got out there, we're actually missing quite a lot of players, bro. If you look, we're missing both of our first choice goalkeepers. We're missing Saliba, missing Timber, who was rested, missing Calafiori, missing Saka, missing Rice. Some of our best players, bro. So I understand Liverpool were missing players as well, but I can't get too disheartened by this. I think where my kind of problem lies was the goal that we conceded and the fact that we weren't ruthless enough up top. So I wanted to talk to you about, first of all, the goals we conceded. I saw Havertz in midfield and I see Zinchenko starting at left back, and it just proved to me that Havertz is not a midfielder and Zinchenko is not a left back. And I don't really know what else to say other than that, bro, because I've been saying this and shouting it from the rooftops for about 12 months. Now, I didn't think Havertz was shocking, but I certainly didn't think he was magnificent like some of the reviews I saw from some of the Gooners out there. Maybe they saw it different out there live, but I didn't think he was magnificent at all. I thought he was lucky to be in the right place for the goal to just see it home from Odegaard's work. And other than Odegaard, I didn't think anybody really shone on the pitch, if I'm honest, Deluded. So I don't know what your thoughts are there, bro.
I think you're bang on the money, man. I think Miles Lewis-Skelly come off the bench and look well in the minutes he played. But other than Odegaard, there's not really anything of significance. Kai Havertz did get his goal, but I think I speak for every Arsenal fan where I'd say we'd love to talk about him in midfield in the same vein of us talking about him up front, but he's a striker. I think Gabriel Jesus, he looks lively in pre-season, but it's another case of Gabriel Jesus and an inability to look clinical in front of goal. I actually felt Martinelli was okay, but I think he was trying to be a bit too precise. You said it there with Zinchenko. I think Zinchenko had a good reaction in the second half. It looked like there was a better collective reaction, but defensively he's shambolic, if I'm completely honest. And unfortunately for him, attackers, much less a world-class player like Salah, preseason or not, they're going to look at Zinchenko and lick your lips and try and exploit him and get at him time and time again. And that's exactly what happened, really and truly. So like what you said in the opening sentence, I don't personally think we've learned anything new here, man. Like, we know certain people can't play in midfield, and I'm sure we'll speak about it, but we're linked with Moreno. I think that's a step in the right direction. Clearly, we want to see Timber, Tomiyasu, or Calafiori where left back's concerned, and we'd all love a winger. And me and you we're broken records, bro, at this point where we talk about strikers. So I hope we get a striker in. I don't know how you are. We are linked with Gyökeres, but I'm pretty pessimistic on our chances of getting one. But I'd love to be proven wrong, man.
Yeah, so would I, man. I definitely want to talk to you about striker and up top for sure. Like, for me, what frustrated me the most was Zinchenko was playing at left back, and we're all expecting something different. And the same old happens. Salah gets in behind. Salah does him completely. Salah leaves him for dead. Salah cuts inside and scores. Now, he's ruthless up top. We all know what Salah can do on the ball, right? For me, it's about how you learn from your mistakes. And Zinchenko's just got done. He just can't handle him. Now, Kivior's playing everybody on. I don't know what he's doing positionally. He's terrible. And Gabriel, people are looking at, but he can't touch him. He knows he can't touch him. So, I don't know. The goal disappointed me because I just thought it was way too easy. And defensively, for a department which people have been bigging up and saying is going to be solid, I know we've got a lot of players out. You'd like to see better from Zinchenko there for me. And I just don't think we're going to see that as a left back, bro. I just don't think we should be playing him as a left back now. And I don't know where you're at with that, bro, and what you thought of the goal.
I mean, the goals, as you said there, like, they were shambolic. Like, Liverpool had a stronger team out there than us, but whether we have our first 11 or not, I'm sure the players and Mikel Arteta won't be happy. One of the best defensive sides in Europe. So we played with fire and we got burnt. As you said there, I don't think Zinchenko's alone, but I just feel Zinchenko, you've played enough games at left back to know, at least follow the run, at least make it difficult for Mohamed Salah. The only time he's aware of where Salah is, it is too late. So yeah, the goals we conceded, bro, were shambolic. They weren't good enough. The only thing I will say is that fortunately it's happened in pre-season and not directly cost us in the league, man. So we haven't learned anything new, like you said there with Zinchenko. I do think he's played enough times at left back, you know, considering the things he's won, to do better, but he's not an organic left back. He doesn't think as a defender first. Now, when he's going into midfield and doing that inverted stuff, he's okay. And I did think that there was some sort of qualities with him there, but unfortunately in the defensive phase, he's a liability. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it, Zini knows it, clearly Mikel Arteta knows it. So it's like we're having the same conversations, bro. Like, there's nothing more me and you can sit here and say that we haven't said already, bro, man. If I'm honest.
Facts, bro. Facts. And for me, you play Calafiori, you play Timber, you play Tomiyasu, all ahead for me of Zinchenko.
100%.
And I just think Zinchenko needs to be either sold or he needs to be part of that midfield 8 or something, because I just do not want to see him at left back anymore, man. It's crazy. Doesn't play there anyway. He's always in central midfield or trying to get back into defence. I don't think he's ever been in positions since the whole of the time in an Arsenal shirt playing at left back for me. So for me, I don't think we miss him, bro. I really don't. And I think that we need to be upgrading on that position, which I think we will. Obviously, Timber and Calafiori were both not about. They're being rested. And I'm sure they'll be ready when we play over in England the next time. I wanted to talk to you about I thought the second goal they scored, by the way, was absolutely quality. I thought
they
it
bopped us.
I think it bopped us completely. I thought it was brilliant from Elliott, superb from Carvalho, two young players that I think will do well at Liverpool for sure. But we did get our goal back, man. It was actually silkiness from Ødegaard, bro. I've got to say, I thought he was by far the best player. I thought everything that he did looked like it was going to be moving forward and positive, and he just looked so comfortable on the ball. And I think I'm starting to see typical performances now from Martin Ødegaard like this, whereas most people would be looking, if they didn't know football, and go, why is this guy so much better than everyone else? Do you know what I'm saying? That's the sort of performances we're getting from Martin Ødegaard now. And I must say, I've been a big fan of him this preseason, I must say.
I mean, like you said, Odegaard for me is the creative hub of the team, man. And that's why I would love to sign another midfielder, so that Odegaard is kind of free to do what Mikel Arteta wants. You've probably seen in the what we've seen of pre-season and last season, he's kind of had a slightly more freer role. Of course, he has to lead the press. He pulls out to the right-hand side, but you see him dropping very deep on that left-hand side, and he controls things, man. Like you said there, I think if there was one positive, if there really was one, it was the build-up play to that goal with Odegaard. Can't even lie, I think Zinchenko and a couple of other players were involved, but it is primarily Martin Wondergaard, and we just hope it continues. As you said there, people are becoming accustomed to those level of performances, so long may it continue. And I know Smith-Rowe's probably going to leave. I mean, you're wearing the number 8 at Arsenal Football Club. It's a big number, but I think Odegaard needs to get that 10 personally, man. So that would be a positive, if anything, man. Like, Odegaard's quality last night, as you said, man.
Yeah, he was, man. Let me touch on it, because as you have. Are you old school like me with numbers? I love squad
Yeah,
numbers. I mean, something, man. I hate it when someone comes on with a number 42 or something. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just pick
yeah,
the number 1 to 7. I always remember Brian Clough did that at Forest, and Martin O'Neill said he wanted the number 7 shirt, and he gave him the number 5 shirt. And he said, "Oh, you want the number 7? All right, cool." And he gave him the number 13 shirt. He's like, "Is there a problem here, boss?" I asked for the number 5. He's like, yeah. You know, you either take the number 7 or the number 13. What one do you want? He's like, "Oh, okay, I'll stick with the number 7."
yeah. Seven don't sound that bad. Even though
Yeah, you
13
know
is
what
my
I'm saying?
favorite number. Like,
Number 13 means I'm on the bench, so I'm taking the one you give me. Bro.
exactly.
For me, I've always been a bit old school. I like the goalkeeper to be number 1, and then right and left backs to be 2 and 3, and then it goes on through like that. And I think the number 10 should be the number 10, man. I've got to say, if Smith-Rowe was to give that number up to Martin Odegaard, now fair play. I don't think he'd be too bothered about it, but I think the fans would be like, yeah, do you know what? Well deserved. Because the fans, it means a lot to them. That's why people have said, like, Eddie Nketiah, it don't really matter whatever number he is. No, man, that's number 14. We've had
That's a
unbelievable
big boy
players.
number at this club,
That's
man.
a big boy number. And number 10 is even bigger with the Dennis Bergkamps and like. So for me, I think that means a lot to the fans. And I think Martin Odegaard, although he might not be caring what number he gets, get me on the pitch, I'll do whatever. I think it would be a nice touch, man. So maybe they will switch numbers. I don't know. So we'll see what happens there. Listen, any other players that shone for you last night? Because I struggled, bro. I can't lie to you. I didn't think there was anybody that took the ball by the horns last night. I thought Martin Odegaard was clearly one of the best in an Arsenal shirt. I didn't think there was particularly any other performances that I went wow at. But what about yourself, bro?
Nah, man. I think Odegaard head and shoulders above everyone. I think Lewis Skelly in the minutes he played kind of caught my eye. I don't think Benjamin White was bad. I don't think Partey was terrible. I don't think, Kai Havertz was bad. I thought Kivior was okay, but it's more 5s and 6s out of 10s. I think Karl Heinz's distribution looked a lot more comfortable than I've seen it. And to be fair, he's built off the last 2 games. But in terms of standout performers, purely just Martin Odegaard, man, and the young Lewis Skelly, if anything. So just probably Martin Odegaard, man, if I'm honest. No standouts in that regards for me, man.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know what your thoughts are on Liverpool. Obviously, Arne Slot, he's come to the Premier League from Feyenoord after being successful over there. He's definitely got a clear way that he wants to play. I suppose the biggest compliment I can give him is that it didn't look like a completely different Liverpool that I didn't recognise. It wasn't a Liverpool that I looked at and thought, oh my God, what sort of style of play is this? Or where are we at with Liverpool? I've no idea. And I think people are kind of disrespecting their players a bit, man, because I think if you think in the last 2-3 seasons, we're talking about them getting into title races, being 10, 15 minutes away from winning a quadruple at one stage not long ago under Klopp. And I think that although he definitely deserves the credit for that, for getting them to that stage, these players are quality. And, you look at players like Jota, he's an absolute killer in the box. I thought that was in. I know he hit the post, but he don't usually
Best bit of defending we had yesterday, really, with that post.
Facts, bro.
Being hit,
It was, man. Salah likewise showed his quality. They've still got players that I think are top quality, like Alexis McAllister in the side. Good defensively, 2 brilliant fullbacks, world-class goalkeeper. I think people are sleeping on Liverpool a bit, man. I think they're accepting now, oh, you know what, Klopp ain't there. They're going to be top 6, top 4. Not for me. What did you make of him yesterday? And in particular in this game under Arne Slot?
I think the one thing that, and probably the only thing that kind of shocks me, is they look very fit. You'd imagine a Klopp side has that, and it seems like they started their pre-season slightly earlier than us. They did probably have more of their kind of first choice rotationary players available. But I'd say the one thing that shocked me is they were really, really trying to play out from the back, because there was a couple of times Gabriel Jesus kind of kicked the ball as Kelly was kicking it out, but they kept kind of doing that. Under Jurgen Klopp, I'm not saying they didn't play out from the back, but they were more open to just playing a basic kind of way. So I would say how they were progressing it into midfield from their defense was what I really caught my eye with Liverpool, beyond the obvious, man. Really. But like you said, they've got quality players. When you can put out Jota, Salah, even Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, young Carvalho off the back of a decent loan at Hull, and your stronger players aren't there, like you said, like it's Liverpool, isn't it, really? I do think because it's their first year under Slot, I think most fans would want trophies, but they'll probably take a top 4 finish. But you never know. People are underestimating Liverpool. It's Liverpool at the end of the day, man.
Yeah, facts. I agree with all that. I actually think Liverpool will be very similar to where they were last season. Maybe they won't get as close to the trophies as Klopp did, but I do believe that they'll still be in and around that place, man. I just don't think quality goes overnight like that for me.
Amen.
And I still think they'll get a couple of players. So, yeah, we'll see where we're at. Listen, let's talk about Arsenal up top, because you mentioned it earlier about a striker, and I just felt that we weren't ruthless enough. And like Liverpool, you look at Jota, you look at Salah, you look at Carvalho and Elliott with that. It's like, boom, goal, ruthless, clinical. I knew Salah was going to score before it left his boot, bro.
Cash money, man.
You know what I'm saying? Arsenal need that. And Arsenal had a couple of opportunities. I think Martinelli might have had one where I was like, shoot, and he just didn't.
Everyone wanted to shoot.
Everyone wanted to shoot. Odegaard, Jesus, Havertz. There's chances they've all had over the last season where we're like, shoot, and they never do. Not clinical enough. they were ruthless up top and we weren't, and that's what ultimately, in my opinion, won them the game. Now,
The gaffer said that as well.
Well, okay, so that for me is another thing that I would say is interesting. If he's saying that, what are we going to do? Because if we're not ruthless up top and we're not clinical, which I don't believe Havertz and Jesus are, clearly we need a body to come in, bro. So I don't know what your thoughts were last night in front of goal with Arsenal. I'd love to get your opinions on that. And then the striker situation, we either need to get a winger and a striker or one of them. And that has got to happen, DG, hasn't it, this transfer window?
I mean, me and you have done a couple of live streams during the summer, and it feels like we're two old men outside of a bookies drinking beer, just saying the same things again and again and again. Everybody knows we need a forward. Whether we're able to do it, whoever the target is, I'm not too sure. As you crucially said there, I think most fans would want a striker, most would want a winger, most would want both, most would accept either or. I think we need that. And it's again, I'm a broken record, but this is where I think fans can't hide behind the fact of we got 91 Premier League goals and 100 odd in all comps. Clearly, we can score goals. The goals are going to be spread out. But if you look throughout our team, who are you going to bet your life savings going to get goals? It's probably going to be Bukayo Saka because he's done it. Now, all the other players have capacity to do such, but there's too much unanswered questions. I know it's easier said than done buying someone like Haaland, but you just have to look at your competitors. They've got Haaland. Liverpool probably won't be in the title race. Maybe, you never know. They've still got Mohamed Salah that's getting at least 20 league goals, even when people are saying he's had a bad year. Up until recently, Harry Kane was putting up the same numbers. We don't necessarily have that. We don't 100% know Kai Havertz's form is going to continue. We don't know if Trossard is going to have a great season. We don't know if Martinelli is going to get back to his previous form. Saka is the only one we can bet on. And if we jump 2-3 years ahead and we assume that we've got all the defenders, all the midfielders, you know, everything that we want in the defensive and middle third, and we're looking at the strikers or the attacking three, I'm not saying these players can't be part of it, but Bukayo Saka is the only one you could say you can't. It's not realistic to think we'll upgrade upon that unless you're going to spend 100 odd million. I'm not saying to get rid of Kai Havertz, but if a decent striker became available, you go back to when we tried to get Sesko, we're going to do that. The left-hand side seems like, you know, a bit of open season. So, Dan, you know it, I know it, a couple of people in the chat know it. The manager clearly knows it as well in his heart. We need a forward, man. Like, we need a striker, bro. We need someone that can get 20 league goals or someone that's a cold-hearted killer. I mean, the one difference with Kai Havertz and Jesus is I think Kai actually wants to score goals more than Jesus. He's not clinical, but he seems to have a willingness to want to get into the box. I think Gabriel Jesus is amazing at all those other aspects. And, you know, he'll dance past 10 players and then miss a 1v1, but he's not got that want inside of him to score goals, at least to me as a fan. And it's very difficult to not have that and talk about winning major trophies. And I sound like a hypocrite because had we have got 4 to 6 points last season, more on the board, me and you at the trophy parades, we did it without a striker, where would we be? But it's evident we need a forward, man. It's evident, Dan, man. There's nothing more I can say. It's evident we need a striker, bro.
Yeah, I think it's clear, if I'm honest, and a lot of people are suggesting that because we scored 91 goals, it don't matter. Well, I'll tell you what, how about try and push it to 100 then? Do you know what
Exactly.
I mean? There's always one better you can do. It's not like 91, cool, we'll leave it there. No, keep going again.
Look at the December period.
Exactly. And do you know what? What was everyone doing then? We need a striker. Now all of a sudden,
everyone wanted Tony.
What's happening here? Like, of course, we need a striker still. It doesn't change like in a few months. So listen, I do think we've scored a lot of goals. I understand Trossard and Saka have scored a lot, and I get that Martinelli and Havertz can build on what they got, and Jesus, to be fair, from last season. But I just think someone clinical in the middle there, someone like an Ivan Toney. If you want to go for Gyökeres or Osimhen, whoever it be out there, I think we've got to go and do it. And I think the name everybody wants is Alexander Isak. So then a lot of people are then saying, well, he's not available this summer. Do we leave it and go and get him next summer? Like, what do you say to that? Because there's a lot of people suggesting that we don't go and waste money. If we want Isak next summer, we go and get a winger and then we leave that free. But personally, I want a striker, man.
Do you see, that's a difficult one, Dan, where I get conflicted, because if you're going to promise me Isak next year, if it's an assurance that he'll sign for us next year, if he was to bring in a Pedro Neto or, you know, an unrealistic one at this moment in time in Nico Williams, I kind of accept it, because I just feel maybe we can make up the numbers with an additional guy, really, in terms of law of averages. But I feel we need a striker this summer. But then if Isak was to sign for us next season and did want to sign for us and we go and sign like a Tony, can me and you really complain if we sign Tony and then we miss out on Isak? Like, yeah, I would. If you assure me someone like Isak who could take that number 14, I'm prepared to say, do you know what? We'll do what we can for another year. I still think a lot of the talking points we've said and seen is still relevant. But if it's not Isak, go and get someone. Now, fair enough. If you're not convinced on Osimhen or Tony or all of these guys for whatever reason, I hear it. But we've known for a while we've needed a forward. I'm not saying to just sign anyone, because we're just football fans. We don't know all of the targets. But these lot are paid to scout. They're paid to see strikers. These strikers come from somewhere. 2 years ago, no one one was talking about Gyökeres when he was at Coventry. Sporting saw something, and now they're going to make significant profits. So need to go and get a forward, man. In my opinion, like that would genuinely make me feel, you know what, I'm very bullish about us winning the title. As you said, you know, you go back to the December period when we needed someone to put the ball in the back of the net. We haven't done it. Like, we don't have a proven goal scorer beyond Bukayo Saka. And where our striker options are concerned, nobody's a cold-hearted killer, unfortunately, in front of goal. They need probably about 4 or 5 chances. We need someone that can put the ball in the back of the net with anything from 1 to 3. Whether we're able to do it, I don't know. But we are getting to that scenario, I believe, Dan, where, you know, we don't need we've got a tiny squad, but we don't need to sign 6 or 7 players. It feels like, you know, you get a centre mid, you obviously got Calafiori, you get a winger, you get a striker, and our fortunes could really, really uptake, man. So get me a forward, man. Do what we need to do, bro, man. I would love Isak, though.
Listen, I would love Isak as well, but it's not realistic for now. What's your thoughts on Victor Gyökeres? A lot of different opinions I've heard. Some saying it's a farmers league, don't trust it, it's a massive gamble. This guy's been balling out for Coventry and Sporting Lisbon, and people might like raise eyebrows at that and go, so what? I like a lot of what he brings, I must say. But where are you at with this one? Is it a big gamble for you?
I think he ticks the boxes, if I'm honest with you. You know, he's obviously Swedish. He's playing in Portugal at the moment. He's been in England. He's been in a number of leagues, so there's an adaptability thing. We do have to also remember that as much as it's about scoring, long gone are the days of a guy just standing in the opposition area and doing that. I think he can do all the other aspects that Mikel Arteta demands of him. He's obviously of the right age in his 20s. If rumours are to be believed, then, you know, Sporting are open to getting it done for 60-odd million euros. For me, it makes a lot of sense, really, if he's got 1 foot out the door. I'm all for it, man. The only problem with Gyökeres is maybe there's unrealistic expectations. When you've got the statistics that he's had, which bordering on a player in FIFA, anything he does, even if it's a respectable return, people are going to say it's a one-season wonder or anything. But yeah, and to that, I mean, all signings are going to be a risk. Like, what signing 100% confirms? I'm a big fan of Isak. Dan is as well. If we could get Isak done tomorrow, get it done. But I'm sure there's probably some concerns internally with him. He does have a record with injuries. Is there a striker that 100% convinces? I'm not sure. You know, if you get Osimhen, that's big wages. We don't actually know what he's going to do in the Premier League. He's another one that people talk about injuries. I think people downplay Ivan Toney. It's fair to say the club have moved away from it. I wouldn't say 100% convinced me, but I'm 98% sure Toney would be a great signing for us. So is there really, and even if they are a risk, is it more of a risk than betting on Gabriel Jesus to stay fit or Kai Havertz to continue his form? I'm not dissing Kai Havertz, but realistically, his fortunes only changed for half a year. Now, I back Kai to keep scoring, but these are questions I can't wholeheartedly answer. When we had Aubameyang, you know you're getting X amount of goals. When we had Henry, you know you're getting them goals. When we had Alexis, you know you're getting them goals. What have we got in that regards at our team right now? Saka is the only one I'll genuinely be shocked if you do not get double figures in the Premier League for goals and assists. The others, it's not that I don't want to see more, but there's a lot of volatility. We can't answer these questions 100%, Dan. I'm not sure, man.
It's a risk, man, whatever we do.
Big
I don't
risk.
think there's any striker that I would go, do you know what? He's coming in and getting 20 goals. That's Isak. There's nobody else. I'm not even sure Ivan Toney will be guaranteed 20 to 25 goals or Victor Gyökeres, bro. So I think when we look at it, a lot of people, like Jonathan in the chat, if the fee drops, I'll do it. I'm not really caring one of these guys who cares about accounts and like if you want the player, just go and put the money down in it. Do you know what I'm saying? I know PSR now has to be in to come into play, but you know, for a new start of the window, you wouldn't think that would be the problem. For me, it's a lot of money, 100 million euros, but it's not a lot of money if it wins you the league. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd rather see Arsenal going ambitiously to try and win the league than going, let's just keep out what we've got and then go again. Well, we know what we got wasn't enough last year, so we have to add to it. We have to maximize it. And a lot of people will say, yeah, but we want Isak. We want Isak. Even next summer, bruv, he might still not be available.
Exactly.
He might have left. He might have signed
the whole year.
I'm happy here. Exactly. They might get top 4, Newcastle, and he's like, yeah, I'm happy here. I'm playing Champions League football. So we can't just wait for next season and pray Isak still wants to come. We've got to go and do something about it now, in my opinion. If it's Toney, if it's Gyökeres, we've got to go and get the player they want. And I feel personally like Victor Gyökeres is the closest that we've got for that at the moment. I wanted to ask you because Martinelli, a lot of pressure on him this season to have a good season. Had a really good season in terms of the one before last where he got 15 goals and was our top scorer. And he had a bit of a dip in form last season. The left-hand side, it looks like Mikel Merino, we'll talk about in a minute, could be on his way to Arsenal, which will be one of the left-hand midfielders. And then obviously Calafiori's come into the mix now as well. Do you think that's going to help Martinelli this season, bro?
Indirectly, 100%, man, because obviously if Partey's fit, I still reckon Thomas Partey, Declan Rice and Odegaard might be the first choice. But based on the fact that, I know we're going to get onto Moreno in a bit, but he played over 40 odd times. There's not been too many times in the years Partey's been here where we could say that. So you'd expect him to play significant football and there'd be a lot of stability. As you said earlier, Tomiyasu and Zini had injuries. Kivior, that's a whole delicate sort of case. Timber's ACL, we have not and did not really replace Granit Xhaka. As great as Declan Rice was, he was learning that left eight and didn't really have a partnership. So there was knock-on effects for why our left-hand side, our left and right, we were very, very lopsided on the right-hand side and we wasn't really doing anything down that. So I do think Martinelli, with relationships being built and some stability, will get better. That being said, Martinelli's got to take some responsibility, man. For me, he's at that level now where I don't think you're going to get to Saka's level, but you need to improve your decision making or you're going to stay where you are, like you saw yesterday. I like the fact that he's very confident and he seems like he's thinking a bit more, but just get out your feet and shoot. Just be a bit more calculated because beyond the obvious, that's one thing Saka, in my opinion, has over him. Martinelli needs to stop playing with his head down. So there's a lot of things Martinelli needs to answer and I'll never give up on Martinelli. I back him all the way and, he was a hero against Man United and he's not quite at the moment, but he needs to really, Fabio Vieira, there's a lot of players that next season, they really have to have a decent year in some degree, man. So, yeah, the left-hand side, to answer your question, it'd be a lot better if we get some stability over there, man.
Does Trossard still start for you at the start of this season and Martinelli works for his place back, or are you starting Martinelli? Because I have this thing where he's one of my favourites, Martinelli, but I have to be real. Like, Trossard has been better. So it'd be really harsh to dump him out. Even when Trossard come on yesterday, I thought he looked good in terms of his...
Yeah, another one.
Another one that does well with his feet. But what are you saying, bruv?
It's a difficult one, man, because I feel Trossard, obviously, last season he was quality. I think he had a poor Euros. I think up until the last couple of games in pre-season, he's looked a bit thingy. I actually still believe Martinelli's ahead of him in the pecking order. It took a lot for Arteta to say, do you know what, Martinelli, you need to sit down for a bit and bring on Trossard. But at this moment in time, I do think the team to a degree picks itself. I think Kai's up front, Trossard's off the left-hand side. Obviously, Saka is on the right. My bias is to start Martinelli, but our first 5 games are not a joke. So I'm probably going to lean towards Trossard, man. But Martinelli does look good in pre-season. I know yesterday it was poor, but someone just tells me he's going to get back to his best, man. But yeah, man. If we're playing today, I'm going to start Trossard, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, listen, I think he's been phenomenal for Arsenal in the last couple of years, Trossard. I think he's been a really good signing for Arsenal. It's got to go down for me as one of the best ever January transfers.
100%.
For me, I think he's been phenomenal because I know we got Arshavin and Aubameyang in January, but we never went for title races with them. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't contribute for title races. They contributed to try and get sneakers in the top 4 here and there. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, I think he's shown levels. I would play Trossard, but I believe Martinelli will get back into this side, man, because I fancy the player so much. I think he's got so much to give.
Baller, man.
Yeah, he is, man. He is. And I love everything about him and his attitude and his tenacity, his drive, his passion. I think that he is going to get back into this side, man. And I hope that he does because I'm a big fan. Let's move into the midfield because Mikel Merino is being linked, DG. Now, we've obviously got Partey, Jorginho and Rice that can all play the 6. But other than Rice, there's nobody else that really plays the 8. Other than Smith-Rowe, who's now left us, Havertz, who we've seen not very well there, and Fabio Vieira, who we've seen that we don't really like there. So, for me, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions on that. 1, do you think it'll be a good signing, and what do you expect from him? And 2, I wanted to bring in Vieira on this as well, because yesterday I didn't think he was great. A lot of people were saying that he was on the ball. Yeah, he was on the ball. He looked all right. But I just don't think he did much with it again. I just see him get pushed over all the time. There was one part of the commentary which just summed it up, really. I was actually watching it on the Liverpool TV. So obviously it was Liverpool's fans commentary, but they were just like, yeah, he's not looked very good, Vieira, since he's come on. I just thought that just sums it up. Like, for me, like it just sums it up. I just didn't think he was great, but I saw some people on social saying he was brilliant and really impressive and all this. I didn't see it personally, but I wanted to ask you on that position because Fabio Vieira's future, I don't know where it is, man. I really don't. So talk to me about Merino and Vieira, bruv.
Well, let's start with Fabio Vieira, man. I think he was one of the better players, but again, it sums up the game. I did think he was fairly positive, but it was more of the same from Fabio Vieira. For every good touch and good pass, as you said, there was getting weights off the ball and whatnot. His position's a weird one because you can play everywhere, but what are you? Arteta seems to have you more than we believe as kind of a right wing option. We've seen you play a lot of football off there. I think you said on my platform, you made a brilliant point where we're speaking about Fabio Vieira in that when we have seen certain cameos, it's been on that left-hand side. I think he's been in trouble since he signed for the club because he's had injuries, because I also believe he joined Arsenal at the best and worst time. Best time because we're evidently better as a club. Worst time because there hasn't been too many chances. When he signed, you had Xhaka in the 8, you had Odegaard in the 10. You've still got Odegaard. And kind of what you said, where you look at our central midfield options, Fabio Vieira is probably 4th, 5th, or kind of in and around that kind of region. He's a weird one because he's not a wide playmaker like the Cole Palmers and Phil Fodens. You're never going to really get time in the 10 or 8. So you can kind of play everywhere, but where are you going to play? And, you know, many people would say, give him a run. Where is that run going to come from? Unless there's injuries or anything like that, you know, our first 5 games, we don't really have time for that. So Fabio might struggle. In relation to Moreno, I don't think he's a ceiling raiser, but I think he raises the floor in. I think he's a shrewd addition. Of course, you know, him being 28, being at Sociedad, it's not a sexy kind of signing in the ilk of Declan Rice, but it would be a consistent partner for Declan Rice. And I do think you'd be able to rest Partey's legs. You'd obviously be able to play Jorginho slightly less because I think we played him a bit too much. Where you look at his durability in terms of the games he's played, the ability to play as an 8 and a 6, his progressive passing, kind of going back to what you said earlier about Calafiori, you know, getting a bit of stability on the left-hand side. I'm a big fan of Mikel Moreno, man. I don't think it's amazing, but if you've got a Declan Rice, a Mikel Moreno, a Jorginho, and a Partey, and then next season we sign another central midfielder, assuming both of them leave, I think we're all right, man. So, and crucially, if this is what Mikel Arteta wants, just get these signings in early, get them up to speed, and I really want to hit the ground running in those first 5 games, man. Every point counts, as you know, man.
Yeah, it does. Every point counts massively, bro. And look, at the moment, bro, we've got Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, and Odegaard with Jorginho as cover. Do you think he'll start with that, or do you think Marino will come into the mix and play in the 8 with Rice in the 6 and Odegaard in the 10?
It's a techie one, man, because I think we'd have to, obviously Moreno's an experienced player, but I think Arteta would have to get him in training because I don't know what Mikel Arteta wants to do, you know, but I would imagine with the fact that Mikel Moreno's left-footed, surely he goes onto the left-hand side. Declan Rice goes over to the right where, you know, for me, that would be good. You know, you've already got great players on that right-hand side. So surely that's the thing. I actually, in many ways, I think because of Partey's durability and the fact that he's got a year left, I think naturally Partey might get demoted into kind of the secondary option and Moreno be a regular. But then I think obviously last season is not now, but then I think the first choice would have been Partey, Rice and Odegaard. And one does wonder if we did have Timber and Partey last season, what we would have seen on that left-hand side. So I'm inclined to believe Partey starts this season, but I just think Moreno's more durable. Obviously, if you're more durable, you're more available. The manager's more likely to play you. So it's a techie one, man. But maybe new signing bias. I'll go with Moreno at this moment in time, bro, man.
I agree with you because as much as I would play Partey, Rice and Odegaard, I think that Mikel Arteta has sold this dream so much to Marino that he's going to be wondering why he's sitting on the bench. Now, I know that that's a good thing because you want to fight for places, but I do believe that Marino at the moment is his number 8. And I think that Declan Rice is definitely the number 6 because for me, Rice, I thought was going to be the 8, but he has played phenomenally in the 6. People forget. They think because he scored a few more goals in the 8, they want to see him there. And I get that. But actually, he was a phenomenal 6, and people comparing him to Rodri in the start of the season. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, you have to be aware of that. Just wanted to bring this up from Yusuf because it's a really good point to say. Is Martinelli following the same trajectory as Marcus Rashford? Hit the ground running too early? I hope not, man, because Marcus Rashford for me is definitely a baller when he come on the scene, but he has not done anything for me. Always felt he's a little bit overrated anyway, if I'm honest. But I always thought he was a good player, not a world-class talent like Man United fans would have you believe. But I hope that he can come back to his best because Martinelli, when he's on fire, it's absolutely superb to see.
Facts.
Let's chuck a couple of super chats at you, bro. This one comes from Brian. Big up to Brian. I hope you're well, bro. Says, we need another impact player in attack. It doesn't have to be a striker, but we're too dependent on set pieces and the right-hand side. Would you make of that, Deluded?
I mean, this is kind of what me and Dan were saying at the start. You know, we'd love a striker. It doesn't have to be a striker. If you could bring in a versatile attacker like a Pedro Neto or Nico Williams or some random person that can add to the mix, why not? I think we definitely need another attacker of some sorts. I don't think we can afford to go into next season without another attacker, really and truly. No disrespect to what we've got, but we can only comment on what we see. Now, the last 2 years, it's mainly been those guys and they've been doing the jobs. But yeah, man, Brian, I think you're right. I think we need another attacker, simply put. We need one, man.
Facts, bro. Facts. Let's bring a few of these up from Netweed. But before we do that, let's start with... He's got 3 here. What do I start with? Let's start with this one. It says, Arsenal Football Club have been a risk for 20 years. It's been over 20 years now, my bro, since the Premier League title. It's way too long, my friend.
Sadly.
Way too long. This one comes in from him as well, saying, Martinelli, Firmino is what you call a baller. Look, Firmino is unbelievable, but taking Martinelli now. He's obviously in the decline as a footballer now. Isn't he over in Saudi now? Firmino?
Yeah, he's getting paid now, man. Getting paid,
man. He really is getting paid. They all are over there.
Can't blame him.
Unbelievable. Let me throw this one at you because there's a lot of people that talk about this whenever they come on the show. Netweed says it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fans hiding behind the opinion card this season. We win the league or he goes. After 5 years, the briefing for second Teta is a simple one. Where are you at with this one? I was going to ask you this last, but I might as well get over with now. A lot of people are suggesting that there's massive pressure on Mikel Arteta. Now, of course there is, man. He's the Arsenal manager. There should be, right? I think there is pressure on him to win something this season. Where are you at with his expectation this season? What does he have to do for you to be convinced? And if he doesn't do that, where do we go with it, DG?
I mean, context applies, it all depends on, if we don't win the league, is it in the same vein as last season or the others? I do think some fans are happy to be numbered, just finishing second and be on the journey. I mean, I would debunk that by you just look at what the players say and what Mikel Arteta is saying. He's not happy to be finishing second. And at the end of the day, he's managing a massive football club, which is his first role. So the conversation has now become, in the last 2 years, one love for the rebuild, Mikel Arteta. Can you get us over the line? Which, unfortunately, at this moment in time, for as much as I like him, hasn't been able to do. For me, context applies. Like, I'm not saying to keep the man just because we keep improving or we narrowly miss out, but it would take a lot for me to say sack him, especially because, and I'm not saying this as a reason to keep him, but there needs to be succession planning. Now, if there's this other manager that does things that Mikel Arteta can do, there's kind of more of an assurance or reliability that he can get the deal, get it over the line, get a trophy over the line. Why not go and do it? In my opinion, I do think we need to win something. If I'm honest with you, you need trophies. But what I would say is we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we don't win a Prem or the Champs, because if we win a League Cup or an FA Cup, the same people say we need to win a trophy are going to say it's only that. So we do need to win. There is pressure. Money's been spent. Where we're spoken of one of the best teams in the Premier League or in the world. Where a lot of these clubs that go and get new managers, they speak about Mikel Arteta and give him patience and why you need to sing from the same hymn sheet. But I would add a caveat and say, is there really pressure on Mikel Arteta? I think he's got pressure on himself. I think him and the players will have pressure to deliver. But in the structure with the cronkies and things like that, we're not on, beyond the obvious, we're not a team like Real Madrid. We're not going to sack you because you didn't necessarily win stuff. As long as the metrics are there, we're still improving. I think that's it. But I do think it's a big season for Arsenal, and they have to be well aware of that, man. And that's why I want a striker, man, because we've seen for the last few years and last season that a couple of players on top of what we're doing, we might be able to do something next year, man, if I'm honest. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But it's one where you can't really be black and white with it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's a hard one to answer for a lot of people. I'll answer it this way. I don't think there's any pressure on Mikel Arteta because the pressure might be there from some of the fans. The pressure ain't there from the players. The pressure ain't there from all of the fan base. The pressure ain't there from the board, and the pressure ain't there from the owners. So I honestly believe as long as we title race and we don't win anything, as long as we title race, I don't think he's going anywhere, bro.
He's going to get a new deal, isn't it, really?
He's going to get a new deal. He's going to be the next manager for the next few years. We can cry out and say that's wrong and that he needs to go and that it's not good. And I've done that before. I've been there. Trust me. You've seen me do that, right? For me, yeah, exactly. For me, I don't think there's any pressure on him. And this is my question is the pressure actually on Mikel Arteta or is it on the Cronkies? Because there will be, if this keeps going and we don't win stuff and we don't win stuff and we don't win stuff, I'm not blaming Arteta. I'm blaming the Cronkies for keeping him in place if we go another 5 years without winning something. Because we're already halfway through the Wenger scenario where that was all the drought of, we haven't won anything for 9 years. Well, it's been 5 years now. So if we go another 5 like we have now, we replicate what we've done, what happens then? Do we keep him still because he's done great and he's, got us back challenging again? Or do we pull the plug and go? And this is where I'm looking towards the ownership. And I think that's missed a lot. A lot of people go, Arteta, what's he going to do? Pressure on Arteta. Man, who's employing him? This is their project. True. So I think a lot of people miss that when they ask that question. It's like, you Arteta in or you Arteta out? Well, actually, I'm looking at the Cronkies more than Arteta if he doesn't perform because they're the ones who can pull the plug. I can't go, right, sorry, Mikel, off you go. Can I? So, Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke, they need to be looked at and there needs to be more pressure on them because they are now total ownership. They've spent a lot of money. Where are we going? How are we moving forward? So that's the way I see it. And
I think that's facts.
Yeah, and I don't want this to come across negative because we haven't kicked off the season yet. I don't know what he's going to do, right? We're giving an opinion on what might happen if we win and if we lose. And for me, if we do not get a trophy, it's going to be very, very difficult again to back Mikel Arteta to say that he's the guy who's going to get us across the line. Because if he doesn't do it again for another season, rival fans are just laughing and all of the Arsenal fans are fighting within each other again. And I don't want that, man. So I just want him to win something, even if it's the domestic cup win something to go, right, everyone can shut up now. We've won something with this
Just
squad.
allow it, yeah.
Breathe confidence, allow it, we move forward. Do you know what I'm saying? On that quickly, domestic cups, man, I want to take them seriously, bro. I've got to say, I want to be winning these domestic cups, DG. Where you at?
I mean, Dan, there's nothing more I can say. I mean, if we was Manchester City or Real Madrid teams that have won all the big boy trophies, then maybe we could, even they don't do it, but maybe we could afford to be snooty. Obviously, I know you can't win them all. The context needs to apply, but I'm a big fan of creating a winning culture. And I think in ways above trophies, we've created that. But the best way to create a winning culture is to win silverware. And a lot of these players, you know, we've got the Kai Havertz's, the Jorginhos, the Jesuses, the Zinnis, they've won stuff, but they haven't done it at Arsenal. You know, a couple of these players might have been there when we won the FA Cup, but a lot of them haven't really won anything. So if you can get your hands on something, why not? And I do think with football fans, especially fans of top six clubs, we can be very snooty and kind of look down our nose at times at the FAs and League Cups because we want the Prems and the Champs. But if you look at the amount of players that, you know, playing these tournaments and playing these tournaments throughout the years, how many actually win league titles or cups? You know, it's not even actually a given that you're going to win a trophy as a professional footballer, and before you know it, it's over. So I want to take them seriously. We're Arsenal, we need to be taking the FA Cup seriously for damn sure. I've always said I think we've disrespected that cup since the last time we've won it. The League Cup, I can have a bit more leeway, but I would love to win that again. It's not the same, but I'm pretty sure Jurgen Klopp and more so Pep, they were picking up a few of those trophies to go with the others. So, you know, the more trophies you win, the hungrier you are for more. So again, I want to compete on all fronts, like every fan of Arsenal and every other club, really. So let's do what we can, man. Really, we got to take them seriously. I want the FA Cup. I'm not gonna lie. I really want to win the FA Cup this year.
Yeah, give me a domestic trophy and a title race, and I think he's had a good season. I honestly believe that. Or Champions League, and of course,
Yeah, we can save face with that.
Yeah, 100%, man. When you win a trophy, it's been successful. When you haven't, you can't say it has. Unless, of course, you see success or a good season. For me, I was saying this last night. A successful season means you do that. A good season means you're Ipswich Town and you've come 11th. Do you know what I mean? Now, that's a really good season for Ipswich, but not successful.
Like, no one's going to remember the next 20 years. I mean, last season in the next 20 years.
Yeah, precisely. We won in 94. We won, 93 even. We won 2 cups against Sheffield Wednesday. You know, we come 11th or 12th that year, but no one knows. They know we won the 2 trophies, though. Do you know what I'm saying? So in history, exactly. They don't go, where did you finish that year, though? Do they? They always go.
Nobody cares 20 years from now, man. You're just going to see your name itched on something, man.
Honestly, it's just you've got to go for all of these trophies, man. 100%. Let me ask you about the rest of the window because it is still open. There's still hopefully some business for Arsenal to do. Calafiori's one that's come in. Marino, we've spoken about coming in as well. 1 more, 2 more. Dare I say it? 3 more, DG? What are you saying, bro?
Three, Dan. I think we're being wishful there, man. I'd love to be proved wrong. You never know. Technically, you know, we're probably going to sign some couple of goalies dependent on what happens with Aaron Ramsdale. But in terms of the areas we want to improve, I mean, naturally, I think we're all confident about a midfielder. I don't want to get excited with Moreno until it's confirmed, but it looks like that's moving. I think 2 more, man. So Moreno, probably a versatile attacker. I want to be wrong, but I just don't think we're signing a striker, bro. I want to be wrong. And again, it is technically early in the market. It's, you know, happy new month, everybody listening. You know, August is only upon us. Maybe there's a surprise, but I'll be surprised, man. You know what? 2 more. It's including Moreno, man. I'd love to be wrong, though.
Well, let me tell you, I think 2 more is bang on. At least, by the way. But a 2 more has to be one that I'm really excited about. Now, there's not many out there at the moment that we're linked with that I'd go, oh my God, we're signing Musiala, or we're signing Nico Williams, or we're signing XYZ. Yeah. For me, the 2 that would make me go, do you know what, fair play? Eze is 1.
Yeah.
Because the versatility is there for him to cover positions such as the Declan Rice 8, the 10 and Erdegaard and Bukayo Saka as well. And he can play left as well, to be fair to him. And the other one is either Tony or Gyökeres. I'm not still like kind of this with these 2 because I think Gyökeres has potential. He's doing it. Tony, we've seen. So they're the 2, man. I don't know about yourself.
I'm with you with those names, man. I mean, I don't understand why people are quite harsh on Ivan Tony. I understand why, you know, when you've been linked with half the strikers we have, but Tony would be good. I just don't think we're going to get Tony because it feels like he's been there. He's available. We just haven't done that. So that's that. Gyökeres, it all probably comes down to Sporting Lisbon and their willingness to kind of meet us halfway. If they are willing to do a deal for 60 odd million, fair play. Where Eze is concerned, it's one of them where seeing's believing, man, because as you said, I would say fair play. I think the club like him, but it's going to cost big money. And you never know with the outgoings, with the Smith-Rowes, with it looking like Eddie and Nelson and maybe some other players, you know, you'd imagine Kivior decisions is going to be made. If money comes in, maybe we can, you know, splash a bit of cash. But seeing's believing at this point for me, Dan, man. Like, I'm one of them, like, until I see you holding shirts and whatnot, I'm not really for it, man, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm with you. There's all rumours, isn't there, at the moment? And we need to see yellow bars and them holding shirts before we start.
You have it.
Side. I know we're linked with Eze. I know we're linked with Neto. I know there were links with Williams. It looks like he's staying now. Gyökeres is being linked. Tony, there's nothing, if I'm honest. I'd be absolutely astounded if we signed Tony. I'd be shocked because he's just never been linked with us for the whole of this window and last window. So that's that. Listen, we've got a couple of preseason games that are still left to play. They're going to be back in our hometown. Of course, we've got them at the Emirates. It is Bayer Leverkusen on the 7th of August, which is, I believe, next Wednesday. If I've got that right. And then, excuse me, and then the 11th Emirates Cup is back, mate. It's back. We've got Lyon in that one as well. What are you expecting from those two games, DG? Not so much just in terms of the result, but also in terms of the personnel. Do you expect to see like Rice, Saka, Calafiori, all these players coming back into the mix in the next couple of games, bro?
Amen. Like, I expect to see them back into the mix in the next couple of games. I expect naturally less rotation. I expect to see more closely aligned to, you know, the teams that are going to start the first couple of games of the season, or players that we probably see more prominently. Now, obviously, the Halem boys have done very well throughout the preseason tour, but I don't expect to see them starting. I don't expect to see really and truly mix and match back fives, which we have seen. You'd imagine Carl Hein might even be on loan by the time we next talk about a game. So I want to see a stronger team. Evidently, we want to see Calafiori. I know it's all about gearing towards the Premier League, but I do think on top of obvious reasons for Arsenal fans wanting to go to the Emirates, I think the fact that Calafiori hasn't kicked the ball is another reason to kind of sell tickets. So yeah, I want to see a stronger team. I expect to see certain formations and certain in-game practices that are probably more aligned to what Arteta wants, because I mean, every game counts in preseason, but now it's getting real in it, if I'm honest with you. Like, we've got, 2 Emirates Cup games, and then it's Wolves and Aston Villa in no order. I can't remember. I think it's City and Spurs and whoever's fifth. There's no margin for error, man.
Absolutely bang on, bro. You absolutely are. Let me just share my screen because there's a little bit of updates on what's happening around the world of Arsenal. I'll go on AFC stuff. It is Romano, but there's a lot of people that like this Twitter account, which I do follow, to be fair. It's pretty good. This coming a few hours ago saying that Arsenal are very close to signing Marino. Sources familiar with the situation have confirmed that Arsenal have already made an offer that would approach 30 million euros, and that's the Sociedad for the player. And this is quite an interesting one. Back in 2017, this is Mikel Marino for Newcastle playing against Jack Wilshere. Obviously, you know he was at Newcastle, and it didn't really work out for him there. I think he went to Dortmund before settling at Real Sociedad and playing well there. And then there's a couple of bits of news in relation to Eddie Nketiah. This has come from Fabrizio Romano a few minutes ago, that Marseille have reached an agreement with Eddie Nketiah on personal terms, but it's now up to Marseille to find an agreement with Arsenal as negotiations continue. A deal is not close yet. Basically, what that means is, DG, they're going to offer us absolute pittance for this guy. That's basically what's happening here. So I wanted to ask you for the outgoings before we close, because I believe Eddie Nketiah will potentially leave Arsenal, but how much is he actually going to go for? Same with Reece Nelson, because this morning I did a show about Leicester looking at potentially stalling on that deal, saying that we were asking for too much. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of Reece Nelson and Eddie at Arsenal level, I think they'd be good signings for Marseille and Leicester. Surely we've got to be asking for at least 15 million for Nelson, at least 20 to 25 for Eddie Nketiah, right?
Yeah, you said it there, man. I think, you know, with out of all of them, you know, with Smith-Rowe, with Nelson, with Nketiah, I think everyone's prepared to concede Nelson will probably bring in the least. He hasn't really been part of the team per se like that, and hasn't really done anything in the senior game. I think 15 million is fair value. He's under, you know, he's under contract. Obviously, I don't know how much Reece Nelson's future is tied into us actually buying another attacker, because if we can't bring in another winger, do we let him go? I'm not sure. Eddie Nketiah, we need to be getting to, I think 20 to 30 million, really, because he might not be Arsenal level, and he is a player that polarizes opinion, but he has been one of our first choice strikers on occasions. He has scored vital goals. He is the only Arsenal attacker that got a hat-trick last year. He is an England international. So go and get decent money from him. And let's be honest, Marseille are going to buy him evidently for why they need him. But let's be honest, he'll be there for 2 years, and then they'll flog him back over to this market for a little profit. So yeah, and actually, and what you put on screen, it's just, you know, as much as it sounds great with Romano, from what I read, is, you can agree all the personal terms you want with the player.
Yeah,
You need to get an agreement with Arsenal. There's nothing happening. Like,
100%.
really, if I'm honest, bro. So it's a
100%.
non-starter, essentially. Hopefully, we get something done.
Agree personal terms. It's like brilliant.
Like, that's brilliant.
Is he for sale? Do you know what I mean?
This is it. Like,
Crazy. So yeah,
like you said, the TC yellow bars. It's a myth.
I definitely agree with you there. Listen, I got to ask you, man. This is a serious question. When they were both put on 100k a week, I thought it was a bad idea, right? I really did. I thought it was way too much. I thought it was showing way too belief and faith in them, that it was kind of giving them hope that was never going to be belief, if that made sense.
Yeah.
So I stood by that and I stand by it. And people threw back in my face, but we're protecting their value. Now we can't sell them both because they're on 100k a week. So it was a silly mistake, in my opinion. They didn't need that much money. They would have been more than happy on 75, 80k a week. That's still a lot of money for their ability, in my opinion. I think it's a mistake. And I must say that if we have to now take a hit because we put them on ridiculous wages, that was a bad mistake for the club and it hasn't sorted out their value. So where are you at with that one, bro?
I think the club had the best intention in that. Obviously, you didn't want money to essentially walk out the door. I know Nelson's changed his agent previously, but at a point, him and Eddie and Nketiah and Saka, they all had, and actually that Chido with Martin guy, they all obviously had the same agent. I think Eddie's agents played a blinder. End of the day, number 14 shirt, 100 bags a week. I can't begrudge Eddie and Nketiah for signing that. Within Arsenal and internally in Arsenal, maybe it's in line with inflation, the fact that it's a 5-year deal. You thought Eddie would get better. These are the only reasons I can find. But as you said, it doesn't make sense for that fee because now we're struggling to flog these players. I'm sure Eddie Nketiah is enticed to be playing regular football, playing in the top league, playing under Roberto De Zerbi. But from a lifestyle point of view, beyond the obvious, who wants to leave a job and earn less? It does not make sense because you are going to earn less at Marseille. So how we take a hit, I'm not sure, but there has to be a correlation. Maybe where they're concerned, I guess hindsight, maybe we should have let them walk out the door on the free, more so Nelson than Eddie, if I'm honest. But yeah, man, it looks like an L at this moment. It's just making it more difficult. But I hope Eddie proves us wrong, man. I hope he does. Got decent money for Smith-Rowe, so hopefully he proves us wrong, man, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean, the Smith-Rowe one, I couldn't believe he was only on 40k a week. That's absolutely mad. Considering the other guys are on it, it's crazy to think that he actually has done more in his Arsenal career, and albeit very, very small, than Nelson and Nketiah. But there we go. Listen, I expect to see some outgoings. Do you think there'll be anybody else? There's rumours of Kivior, Kieran Tierney still there, Aaron Ramsdale's still there. What are you making of those players, bruv?
With Aaron Ramsdale, it's just the clubs that are interested in you. You know, we do see everything from 30 to 50 million quid for Ramsdale. And I would love Arsenal if we got 40, 50 odd million quid. 30 million, I think we're taking a hit. I'm starting to believe if Aaron Ramsdale is going to depart, it's a thing where you go on loan, you put yourself in the shop window, and we have this conversation a year from now. Who else is there? Kivior, it's kind of gone radio silent. I don't know if that's correlated with Tommy Asu's injury, but you'd imagine once he comes back to England, that's something, because I don't think Kivior wants to spend another season on the bench or even more marginalized because of everyone who's in front of you. Who else is there really and truly that could depart? If Ramsdale, we spoke on Ramsdale, there's Kivior, obviously Eddie and Nelson. Apart from that, maybe a couple of kids, you know, young Charlie Patino didn't go to America. That might, and he's older than Lewis Skelly and Ethan, so that might tell you where his future lies. Other than that, there's not too many outgoings, but I'd imagine Kivior would be the one that probably keeps it moving. Tierney's injured. There's some rumors he's out until the back end of the year, so you might stay put, but I'm not sure really and truly, man. I'd say Kivior's the next one.
Facts. I think Kivior's the one that's definitely Serie A are interested in anyway. I'm hearing Juventus, I'm hearing other Italian clubs, AC Milan, Inter Milan, all looking at him circulating. So I imagine he'll probably go. Tierney, I think, will stay because he's injured. I don't think he's going to pass any medicals anytime soon. And Ramsdale, unless we're going to get 25, 30 million for Ramsdale, I'm going to keep him, bruv, because this is a goalkeeper that's good cover. I don't want to be putting Carl Hein in there or one of the other guys that we replace him with. When Ramsdale's there, just leave him. And people will say that's cruel on Ramsdale, but is it like he's a top goalkeeper? I'm not going to be
selling to him, but it's kind to us, man. Like,
yeah, it's down to us. £10 million. Go on then. No, man, this guy's good. Like, let's keep him, in my opinion, anyway. So let's see what happens.
With that.
I mean, hopefully Vincent Kompany will come back in for Zinchenko for 30 million or 25 million, because that's the one that I would get rid of. But I'd actually prefer to get rid of Zinchenko ahead of Kivior, if I'm honest with you, because I think Kivior offers us more at left centre back and left back, and he's actually a defender. But we'll see what happens, bro. Listen, always a pleasure talking to you, my bro.
Come on, my guy.
Out stuff, man. Let me know what you got coming up and how people can follow you, man.
4:30 I'll be going live, so I'll be talking about Arsenal's news. Around 6 I should have Guna Lee. Got a couple of videos similar to yourself out at the moment. Just type in Deluded Guna on YouTube, Deluded Guna 04 on Twitter if you wish to follow me, and obviously TikTok and all of that. And yeah, man, I mean, you know, Dan's probably put all my info in the chat and whatnot. So yeah, just make sure you're following. Dan, it's always a pleasure being here, man. It's always nice to talk Arsenal. Hopefully next week there's something significant for us to talk about, man. Really.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, man. Me and Deluded are going to be hooking up weekly, man. So we'll be sharing each other's content on the channel. So make sure that you are following the both of us. Make sure you click on the title, Deluded Guna. It'll take you over there. He's well over 60K now. So let's get that up to 70 for him.
Appreciate that.
You for coming on, my bro. And make sure you're doing me a favor, people. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you're checking out Manscaped with 20% off on the beard hedger. And I will be back later tonight with a very, very funny panel. I don't know if to go into it too much, but it's going to get lit at 6 p.m. tonight. Trust me, it's going to be mad. So please set your reminder.
Make sure you're there, folks, man.
Notification bells, because it is going to be a very interesting argument. And I'm going to sit here and do this. It is going to be absolutely beautiful later. So please make sure you're there at 6 p.m. Do not miss it. Take it easy, people. We're out of it. Laters.
Peace.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.